Hello, welcome to Westbank Quay. So on this episode I want to get the harbour walls fitted. As you can see, I've given this a paint just with some acrylics to make it waterproof, because I am going to use some resin on this one. I've decided how I'm going to do it. The original look was to use, let me get these sheets. So I was going to use some these sort of a water texture sheet, and I was going to put these in, and it looks okay, but it just doesn't give a real feel to water. So, and I want a little bit of depth to it. So I'm going to try a different technique on the water. I'm just waiting for that to arrive, and then later on in this episode we'll get that in. So with this episode I want to just get these harbour walls, and when I was measuring all this it seemed to be absolutely spot on to the top, but then I forgot about putting this thin layer of plaster on the top, which now I'm sort of realised that I'm going to need to lift this up very slightly, and it's about 1 or 2 mil gap at that end, but it seems to be reasonably okay at this end, so I think I got the plaster a little bit thicker down there. Wasn't going to be an issue because I was going to put that water paper, you know, the texture, and then that would have sat on top. Now I've got this bit of a gap, so I'm going to use just some of the grass textures and things like that, just to fill the gap in with some glue, stops any of the water leaking out, and I think that would then work, and you'll sort of see it in the level of the water. I want the level of the water up to mid part of this green area there, so it's not going to be massively deep, but it's going to, you know, be what's that, 4 or 5 mil, something like that, you know. And I want it to be quite a dark greeny colour, so you can't see all the way through it, so you don't see like a shallow harbour, because it needs to be quite a deep looking harbour, because obviously hulls of the boats are going to need to be quite deep anyway. I was going to be putting a jetty along here, and I did think about that, but it doesn't leave me enough room really to put any sort of features in there, and I wanted to use this boat sort of positioned there as a part of a feature to be this fishing harbour, and then this can be tied up to some mooring posts there, and then a couple of little smaller boats here, probably a small fishing trawler here, and a couple of rowing boats, and a couple on the side there. So I've measured this out just so, and obviously I've not got enough space now for a jetty, so I'm going to leave that. Anyway, I'm going to get back to fixing this in as I get distracted with getting all the detail on. So I just need to get that glued in, and then I can get this piece in the side there, put the piles on, and then put the concrete piece over the top, and the same along the front. But I'm not going to do the front pieces because I might knock them until I've started getting it closer to the end. So let me get these glued in now. I have all this now glued in place. I'm just going to make sure it's pressed still against the edge where the glue dries. And I also just want to put a bit of extra weight just on this part here, because it's just slightly raised. Let me just, looking slightly odd, so I'm just going to add a little bit of weight onto there just to get that to sit a little bit more flush, but everything else seems to be nice and flush. So I just need to let all that dry and leave it a few hours just to let the glue dry before I can start getting the rest of the harbour scene in. As you can see, I've got all the harbour walls nicely fitted, so that's nice and level. I've given this a good paint of green acrylic just to give it a good waterproof finish, and then I've sprayed it with like a matte so what it is a matte lacquer that I use on all the card, and it stops any water ingressing into the card or anything like that. And I was hoping it would all work on here because I wanted to do some water resin on that. As you can see, I've carried on going all the way around on the layout. I've still got to yet to put the piles in on the end there, but I've started to put, I've got all the point motors fitted. Got the switches set up, just need to secure the little panel on there. Track power goes in there. I'm going to have the lighting and point wire in there. So we can just, let me just tip this up so we can have a look. And as you can see, I've still got to get to tidy the wiring up a little bit, but it's quite basic. But I've just got everything sort of dangling around at the moment. That'll all be nicely tucked away. Hate mess like that. So let me just drop this back down, and I'll show you what I want to try and do. So now we've got all this in place, I need to sort of create a dam at the front, all the way around. And I've got these Pico point plastic sleeves, really good for this job because it's quite a good, reasonably thick plastic. And then to keep the plastic in place while I've got the resin in there, I've created this sort of L-shaped piece of MDF, and that's going to sort of give me the two extra walls, so when I do the deep pour it's not going to pour everywhere. That's the plan. So it'll have perspex in there. I'll need to just cut these to get the perspex, and I want it to roughly be about that high, the water level. So I'm going to get all this cut now and get those in place. Right, I've now got all the perspex on. I think I've got it all sealed up to about this height here, which is just where the sort of the green algae on the harbour sort of walls is. And I think I've got everything sort of nicely watertight. So the next stage really is going to be adding the deep pour water, and I'm not sure how that's going to go, but that'll be on the next video, and we can see if I got in a mess or not. So I do wish you a very good evening or a good rest of the day. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe. I'll see you on the next episode.